Looking at sides, motherfucker button up in the top. Black power, I'm staying rock. Born to the beat on the side. East mode, march on with it. Had to still on my haters just to get popped.
Peace, everybody. Whoa. Peace. I'm like, whoa. You kind of Mississippi. I wasn't expecting that one. Because he could see into the point. Hey, how you doing? So you can see he scared me. He scared the hell out of me. Like, what? You know, he showed up quick. I'm trying so hard to believe. So, what's going on, people? What's up, brother Chris? How you doing? It's good to see you, bro. So, welcome everybody to Movie Innerstandings. You know what I'm talking about? With me. So like I had to introduce myself because y'all, you know why he is. You know, it's just me. I was just me. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I know, be aware of your surroundings at all times. You never know who will pop up for sure. Be aware, be aware of your surroundings at all times. You just, you know. Usually, you know, she be creeping in. Don't expect them to be just there. But yeah, that's what's up. So, as y'all know, we talking about the DaVinci Code today, which came out in 2006. It's based off a book by Dan Brown, and you know, this movie was cool, but you know, when it comes to like, I guess the acting, I would say, Beats Brothers act. I would say that the acting, I don't know. I wasn't feeling Tom Hanks. I feel like he gave better, stronger acting presence in other movies, but not really this one. I don't know. It was kind of monotone. I can't explain it. But greetings, Max in. But okay. So at the start of the movie, right? We see the curator, we just call him like that, before he really introduces his character. He's running. He's running through the Louvre, you know, and many artworks you see in the Louvre in Paris, and he's running from basically an albino priest. You know, the priest ask him, you know, for the secret, and you know, he gives him a metaphor, you know, hides beneath the rose, and the priest shoots him. I find it interesting, you know, that the albino priest, his eyes was interesting for me. You know, it just stuck out. Don't ask me why, but that's what stuck out for me. You know, he gets the curator gets shot in the stomach, but he doesn't die suddenly. You know, he doesn't die quickly. And after that, we see basically the main character, Robert Langdon. He's in the auditorium. He's about to give his lecture on, you know, symbols. And I like this scene because, you know, he talks about how, you know, symbols basically are words, but which words, you know? And he uses pictures At first, you see one picture that's just a pitchfork, and he asks, people, what does this symbol mean? And they say devil's pitchfork in French, but devil's pitchfork, and they say the devil saying and whatnot, and he says, no, it's Poseidon. It's his symbol, the Greek god of the seas and oceans and whatnot. Shalom, Sister Manera. And then another one, it's a guy in a clan robe. We would know it as a clan robe, right? But he said, what's that? He says, people say KKK, racism, hate, whatnot, and he says they would disagree with you in Spain. This is worn by Catholics, and whatnot. Now, if you see that, for me, if you see the Godfather 3, they wore the same robes. Matter of fact, that's how Joey Zaza. That's how he get clipped. The guy that looks like a Klansman comes out with that dang on double barrel and starts. Anyway, but yeah, and then he goes on with his lecture, with different symbols popping up in the background, like basically the swastika. But then you see it as a Nazi symbol, but then you realize it's a Buddhist symbol, that's used by Buddhism and whatnot. And like I say, it's very interesting in this start of the scene. But after that, he's basically exploring with the audience these symbols, because that's his lecture. And then you see after that, one of his books on the table called Sacred Feminine, and he's talking with one of his students' mother. It's like my son, loves your class and whatnot. And he's like, I already gave him an A-. Some parents really do that. You've ever been a teacher, so says, yeah, some parents really do that. It's like, I already gave your kid that. I don't need your kiss my ass, but okay. But after that, one thing that stuck out was when he says symbols are a language that helps us understand our past, which can be considered history and whatnot, But as he's basically book signing pieces, Lieutenant Collet of DCPJ, which is like the FBI for them in France, goes to see Robert and asks him about basically the curator, whose name we find out is Sunier. His last name is Jacques Sunier, but Sunier murder. He's like, I was supposed to meet him for drinks, but he never showed, And he asked him his whereabouts, but he wants him to go to the murder scene to to basically understand some symbols. So he goes, Robert goes to the Louvre, and he sees, Sunier. Well, before we get to that, I'll put it like that. Before we get to that, you see the albino, Silas, right? He's talking to a mysterious figure that's known as the teacher. And he's telling them basically in Italian, even though to me it sounds like Latin Italian, that all the Force and the Shaw are dead, and the Grandmaster are dead, and he has to go to Saint Sulpice, because that's what Sunier told him that's where the next clue is of the secret. And you see that albino, he stands naked before the cross, and you see what he has on his thigh is what's known as a cilice. And as he stands naked before the cross, he whips himself. I don't want to get ahead while he wears everything, because that goes um, with the movie. But you see him whip himself, and after that, you see Robert being dropped off, at the Lou, and then he meets Captain Fausch, played by John Reno. you know, who no cool French actor. I liked him in what The Assassin, about that New York movie where he got what had a little girl with him and sort of teach her how to be an assassin or whatever, and it gets revenge for her parents and whatnot. It was a cool little movie. But Foss says something interesting. He says, you like our pyramid? He said, oh yeah, it's nice. And he says it's a scar on the face of Paris. The glass pyramid. I thought that was interesting because it's a pyramid in Paris. I'm talking about and it's a scar on the face of Paris. Interesting, right? I'm talking about. And then they, go into the Louvre, and at the bottom you see exactly, Brother Chris. I'm talking about ninjas in Paris. I mean, hey. No, no, Brother Zach. The whipping symbolized him suffering as Christ suffered. Thus the whipping, But I guess you can't say going through hell to get to heaven, because he's suffering as Christ suffered. So basically, but but my name is Precious. Okay, peace, Sister E oppressor. But after that, they go down and they walk, and you see two pyramids, and small, a large glass pyramid, and then a stone pyramid, and Robert Langdon says these two pyramids are geometric echoes of each other. Then they go into the elevator, and already you see that Robert has a problem with elevators. Was also because he was trying to be forgiven. You can say that, but I think even before, I would say even if he wasn't killing people, he would still do it. But in this retrospect, yeah, you could say that, to be forgiven, but also to pay penance, because that's his ritual. I would say that, and so, Robert wants to take the stairs because he doesn't like elevators. And then you see on a plane, the bishop, which name will be given later, but Aaron Garosa, he's being interviewed about Opus Dei, which is a real life sect in Catholicism. And he's being interviewed about their practices of self-flagellation, whipping, and the Salice, which just got to, I guess, yeah, a Salice, and it being basically a brainwashing cult, and he's trying to. The bishop is trying to say, well, we have people that are married and all these things. It's not a brainwashing cult, And so we get to the murder scene, right? And Senior is in basically spread eagle, and he's basically in the laying stance of basically the Vitruvian Man, which was drawn by DaVinci. If you've ever seen it, the the drawing, guy, hair and standing like that and whatnot, and a 5-star or a pentagram is written in blood on his chest, and Robert's like oh the pinnacle, and the captain's like, oh, pagan, devil worship. And he's like, no, it's a pagan symbol, but the pinnacle before that was a symbol of Venus, and it represented the female half of all things. Which, like I say, a lot of symbolism, so interesting. And then with a black light flashlight, they look at basically these words that's on the floor that says "Old Draconian Devil, Old Lame Saint." And Robert's trying to make because above it there's numbers above it, but he's trying to make sense of it all. And then here comes Officer Nouveau, which tells Captain Faust that it's a Fibonacci sequence. And she introduces herself as, Sophie Nouveau. She's with the French police, and she's their cartologist. And as that's happening, we see a nun talking on the phone with somebody, and they're telling her, well, get up and give a tour. It's late at night. And she's like, this late at night? And he said, well, this monk is from Opus Dei, and he wants, and we want you to give him a tour of the church. And so after that scene, basically Sophie gives Robert a phone, tells him he has a matter of life and death, and to call that number. And he's like, he hears her voice. It's her voicemail, and she tells him dial the code, and all of a sudden he gets a message saying that he's in grave danger, which she narrates. And he goes to the bathroom. He tells Captain that his friend has had an accident. He's going to have to leave, but can he go to the bathroom to splash some water on his face? So he goes to the bathroom. Sophie meets him there, and she's like, Senior, I got a message for me to from you. But she shows him a picture and says, tells him that part of the message was and that Captain Faust, he already deems him guilty, as the murderer. And then we find out that Sunier is Sophie's father at this time. So Robert says that the Fibonacci numbers are scrambled, as well as the words, and then she's like an anagram, and then he makes sense of the words, Old Draconian Devil, Old Lame Saint, and then he comes up with the Mona Lisa, DaVinci. So they go to the Mona Lisa, right? And I like him because he sees the Mona Lisa. He's spouting all this rhetoric about it, and he says one thing. He says historically the left is female while the right is male. Which was interesting to me. And so they flash a black light because they see the blood. They flash the black light, and then they see "So Dark, the Kind of Man" written, and then they try to make sense of those words, and they come up with "Madonna of the Rocks," which is another Da Vinci work, and then they go to that one. And then they find a key with the fleur de lis on it. Or as they say that home, well, but some people say that home, my fleur de lis, at least some people I know in Canada, they say that, But fleur de lis on it, and it's funny, fleur de lis is basically the royal coat of arms for the monarchy once in France, and it's on the flag of Louisiana, and yeah, all that other stuff. But so uh Robert asked Sophie about her grandfather, because they're trying to get away, from Fauch. And so as they're getting away, and they try to go to basically the embassy, but they can't. It's already cut off, and Robert's already been tracked with a homing device, and they put that on a truck. But he asked Sophie about her grandfather being in Wisdom New Eve. Yep. So Sophia Nouveau. I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, New Eve, and being the priory of Sion, which if you look at it, it's spelled Sion. So Sion, you place the S, you get the like Zorro. Bam. You know what I'm talking about. And he talks about them being an old secret society with leaders like Sir Isaac Newton and Da Vinci. He says that the fleur de lis is their crest, and they're the guardians of a secret that they refer to as the Dark Arcana Man. Like, which is interesting. The fleur de lis is their symbol, but it's the royal symbol of France. Interesting. I always found that interesting. And the priory protects the source of God's power on earth. And so we see Silas, right? And he has memories of stabbing his father, and his father calls him a ghost, right? Which, he looks like one, but he's in, what? Also, the color of his robe should be brown. Even though he's in Opus Dei, the color, dang, what was brown? Brown was, I want to say Franciscan, but I forget the color of what brown is. But he's called the ghost. He stabs his father. You don't know if his father really dies, but he goes to jail. Oh, that fraternity claimed to have been founded under Our Lady of Mount Zion in 1099. Got you, Chief, already. And he goes to jail, but then he's saved by the bishop. And the bishop's being robbed in the church. And he kills the guys that, trying to rob the bishop, and then the bishop calls him an angel, And greetings, Miss Cindy Jones. Now that, Chief, I did not know. I thought that part of the movie was wasn't true. But now that I didn't know. Um, but as Silas goes into Saint Sulpice, and the nun is talking to him. She tells him what a rose line is. And she says a rose line is any line that goes, from the north to the south poles. And there are 135 brass markers marked, for the world's first prime meridian, which goes through, Paris. Um, and as Robert and Sophie are on the run, they go to a place called Bois de Boulogne. Look, I ain't take French. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I didn't take French, and my sixth grade teacher only taught me how to count up to 10. So yeah, but I found the Boulogne very interesting because of what we're going to talk about later. But they go to this part, which was the track in Paris. And so as they're in this part to have someplace, place to think, figure out the game plan, right? Silas is, basically digging up the marble floors in the church, and he finds a stone, basically a stone placard, and it says Job 38:11. And so, he's like, and as we go back to the park, and basically the priory, Robert tells, Sophie that the priory was butchered by the church. And then he goes into how when the French king basically conquered Jerusalem, it was orchestrated by the priory of Sion and their military arm, the Knights Templar. And the Templar, basically the Templars' creation was a cover to find an artifact the church would kill to possess, right? Which, if you look at that scene, it's sort of confusing because for me, they're talking about the First Crusade. And they're talking about basically two brothers, Godfrey and Baldwin. Baldwin the first of Boulogne. And then in the Bois de Boulogne. So you see the whatever. But if you look at that scene, and if you look at the coat of arms, it's not the coat of arms you would say of France, but it's the coat of arms of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. You know what I'm talking about? For those that that don't know, the Kingdom of Jerusalem was established pretty much at the end of the First Crusade by Godfrey and Baldwin the First, which Baldwin the First would be the first king of Jerusalem. But you see this in another movie, Kingdom of Heaven, which you see, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, you see the Templars, and they always like, God wills it, and then you see the Hospitallers and things of that nature. But I was always confused because I'm like, that's the coat of arms for the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but this is 1090, it's 1099, so I'm confused, but that's just a little fun fact, but you've seen them scenes in Jerusalem, and it's very interesting. But he goes on to talk about how in the 1300s, the Templar Knights are basically arrested and murdered, with an edict that happened basically on uh Friday, 13th, 1307, right? Which everybody thinks Friday the 13th. And with that one, it was basically orchestrated by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V, right? That scene prefaced by Job 38:11 was letting you know that there was a lie afoot, um, that the verse talks about misrepresenting Elohim. Right, Chief. I was gonna get this. But anyway, um, and the primary secret is the Holy Grail. But like I say, it was implemented by these two people, and basically what was happening at that time was, um, basically, the Grand Master of the Templar is supposed to meet the Grand Master of the Hospitalis, which was another Ninth Order. I like to refer to them as combat medics, but that's just me. And the Pope wanted to merge them together, and the Grandmaster at the time for the Templars, he was like, nah, that ain't happen. But he went anyway. He went to go meet him. He waited, and the Grandmaster of the Hospitals took forever to get there, and all this stuff was happening. But also, you find out that that King Philip, he was in major debt to the Knights Templar, and he didn't want to pay them. So shoot, if you don't want to pay nobody, shoot, what's the best way to handle them? Kill them. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is. But after that, the nun tries to call the priory higher ups, the fourth, the three Seneschal and the Grand Master, when she gets Sunya's, voicemail. And as she's calling and not getting any answer, and she's leaving a voicemail message, Silas finds her and asks, Job 38:11, do you know a sister? And she tells him, hitherto shut out, come, but no further. In but also there's another line in Job 38:11. I had my Bible with me and I read it. And it had something to do about the proud. I should have brought my Bible. I'm slipping. But Silas asks about, where's the keystone? And she doesn't tell him. And he asks, you served them, And she's about to say, Jesus, taught but one message. And then he hits her with the dang on stone. Kills her instantly. But it goes back to what Chief was talking to, just put in the chat, how that scene, Job 38:11 was letting you know that, there was a lie for, that verse talks about misrepresented the Elohim, because you can see in that scene how he just says that, yet you serve them. It sounds like, yeah, because he have loosened my cord and afflicted, 38:11, not 30:11, 38:11, Sister Kashia. But he says it like, to me, he says it like Lucifer will, like, you serve these, these humans. You can see it in his eyes when he says that. When he says the line, you serve them. It's a scoff. You know what I'm talking about? How dare you? But yeah, there is a lie for it, and somebody lying, and you can see it in that scene. So give thanks, Chief. And so, which, yes, and here should I thou prior ways be stayed. That's why the proud, because she was talking about pride, uh, previous strong, and when I saw that last line, and have shall thy proud ways be stay, I was like, wow. And you just talked about pride too. You know, that's it, Chief. Give thanks. um, and so there's a meeting of bishops, which we find out later on. Um, Peace, Sister Esme. But the, there's a meeting of bishops, which later on you're going to figure out that this is the Council of Shadows. But that's jumping ahead. But it goes to the lie being afoot, right? That's Chiefs talking about. So there's this meeting of bishops, right? And Bishop Avram Groves is asking for 20 million euros and untraceable bearer bonds, right? And he's asking for this to basically give to this guy, the teacher, who is going to give them the information, basically tell them, you know, give them the grail, the location, and kill, all higher ups of the priory, right? But you got bishop, because and then the one bishop, well, he don't look like a bishop, but one father is like, we about to give you that, we don't. And he's like, man, blood's being spilled on the street, faith is being this and that, man. We need to restore the faith of faith of the people in us. You know what I'm saying? He said, the grail will be destroyed, and the last prior members will be silenced. If you just give me this money, that's all he asking for. You give me this money, we can get this work and this secret. We ain't got to worry about it no more. And so Sophie and Robert, right? They look at the key, and Robert's like, the the floor is old, but the metal itself, look, it's laser, Hacksaw 24, what I'm saying, which they find out is it's an address. And so they go to Hacksaw 24, and they see that it's a key to open up, and then you see like Hacksaw 24 is actually like a bank, and it has numbered Swiss accounts. And as they're basically in the lobby, and Sophie tells Robert she doesn't like history and never seen much good come from looking to the past. For me, I've always heard that. Everybody says that. I don't like history. You're like, why not? Especially, I guess, especially people that I don't know, that just don't see no need. They really say that stuff, but they're trying to find out, basically the code, and they use the Fibonacci sequence for the code, and then they find out that's what the Fibonacci sequence was the code for the key, and they get this box, right? It's black box. But what I found interesting was about this scene was basically the building itself. Because for me, it was like, man, this would be like if the Medici still had a bank, but but in this time, but it's very old, like it's been there since since the medieval, since the dark ages, some whatnot, and we got all these old accounts, and which they did have, but I mean in Hacksaw 24, but it was interesting, but they get this box. I find it interesting that it was temperature reader and all that and whatnot, and they see this little cylinder wooden cylinder box, and it has a rose. Now it's a right rose, but a rose. And Robert says no, a rose was the symbol for the Holy Grail. Um, but when I saw this white rose, for me, I thought of England, the War of the Roses, the white rose and the red rose. The basically the foundation of the book Game of Thrones. That's where he got it from. Got it from the War of the Roses, which that's another historical war and politics and whatnot. But it's a white rose, but the rose is a symbol of of the Holy Grail. I ain't gonna tell you what else I thought about. Some of y'all can figure it out. I mean, I thought of a rose, but I've always heard, of it being a rose, and you gotta pluck it. It's a guitar string when you pluck it. That's another movie. And then you get what I'm. It's a guitar string when you pluck it. For those of us late bloomers, we get that reference. But anyway, so we find out Sophie and that's right, Chief. What's the clitoris? Drops the. But hey, a father and son moment, he wasn't ready. He really wasn't ready for that one, But yeah, but we find out that basically Robert and Sophie are put on a wanted list, right? And the Hacksaw 24, they know, but they find out that Sophie's account is one of the oldest that they have, and they have a safe passage clause in it, so they're helping her and Robert, get out of there. And so we find out that the church will pay the teacher to get rid of the priory and the grail. They agreed, and Sophie is grim. They look at this wooden thing, what's in it, and they find out it's a cryptex. A cryptex. I actually wrote that with space. And it's DaVinci design, and Rose is even rising from the grave. Mary Magdalene was considered to be the first one who say Yahweh Shah when he rose, then charged to lead the church, not the apostles, according to the mythology. Thank you, G. Well, we gonna put a pin in it because that's coming later. For sure. But I'm glad he said it. So it's given the cryptex, and she explains what cryptex. It's got a papyrus scroll, and vinegar. And if you get it wrong, you try too hard, the vinegar dissolves the papyrus, and then the secret, that was written on the papyrus is gone out, But find out that Sophie's parents died in a car crash with her little brother, with her brother at 4. And then the guy, basically the night manager for Hacksaw 24, Verne, he betrays them. But as he's waving the gun at him, because he gets him out of there, but he's like, ain't nobody gonna miss y'all, two murderers, but the bullet is lodged. The bullet casing is lodged in the door in the armored door to the truck, and so he can't close it. So Robert, opens it up, knocks him down, and they subdue him, and then they take the truck. You know what I'm talking about? And Robert's like, all this stuff is going to happen. He's like, he's coming up with all this. And like, you talk about your grandfather, but y'all been away. You've been away from him so long, and you say you don't like history, and he says nobody hate history. They hate their own history, which that's true. I feel that way. People say that they don't like history. They just really hate their own history. It forces you to go back and look at certain things you wish you did not want to look at. Papyrus translates as that which belongs to the king, in more symbols. Right. Now that I didn't know. Because I'm used to papyrus. No, it's a symbol for a reason. I never really looked up the name for papyrus or why they called it that. Madam Netta, thank you for explaining what MDW means for those of us that don't know, Chief. And so Faust visits Verney in the hospital, and he tells him to activate the homing device. That's what he really came there for. But Robert and Sophie go to Peace Nicolette, or Nicole. I have a problem saying people's names the way it's spelled. So if I got it wrong, I'm sorry. But so Robert and Sophie go to Lee's house, right? Lee Tebby, because Robert don't know, a bunch of Grail history. So he goes to an expert, which is Lee. And it's funny. He's given three challenges, and it's basically banner between I would say the new world and the old one, Harvard and Oxford, right? And basically, I'll just say it like this: Lee's trying to sun him, with these questions, coffee or tea, because us in America, we like coffee. British like tea. And he's like, when did the Harvard man, ever, boast peace, brother Randy, Baba Randy, ever what's the name? Boast what do you say? Boast Oxford at anything. And he said, such a tragedy, hopefully such a tragedy has never occurred. He said, oh, your heart is true. But it's like a quest, but it's really like he's trying to sub me to put me in my place, like, with his college, and basically with his country, like, y'all our sons, remember that, which, it is what it is. But Bosch, you also find out, is in contact with Aaron Garosa. But they meet Lee, and he wants to. No, Robert wants to talk to him about the Priory. He's like, the Keepers, the Secret War. It's funny. I like these scenes. When it gets in. But he tells basically Sophie that there's always four. Grandmaster, and three Seneschal that make up the primary guardians, and it's not the Priory protects the church's power on earth, not God's power on earth. which he says that's easily um, misinterpreted, you know. But then we get to, Lee's monologue pretty much, and then he talks about, Constantine was a lifelong pagan and was baptized on his deathbed, and but how Constantine, Roman emperor, for those who don't know, um, who created the Council of Nicaea, and they basically voting on Jesus' divinity and whatnot. And he tells uh tells Sophie, before the council, Jesus was a prophet, but nevertheless, he was a man. He says it in a cool way. You know what I'm talking about. But Constantine and Council of Nicaea, there were more than one council, by the way, more than one ecumenical council. But that was the first one, pretty much. But basically they're saying that Constantine, adopted Christianity to stop the Roman Empire for breaking into two, which was interesting because it's going to happen anyway. Basically putting a band-aid on the problem, which it's going to be divided into. It's we already know it's going to happen, but and so Lee basically shows Sophie, the Last Supper of DaVinci. The priory were considered the antiquarians of the Knight Templar, so their main job was to collect. Right. Got you, Chief. Where their job was to collect the Knights Templars, like the do dirts, they the goons, like they say, the military arm, but shows them the Last Supper of Divinity and tells her, to do all these things. Well, how many wine cups you see here? You see none. That's a bit strange. And how many, who's that? And here's one of my favorite things. He asked Robert, can you show her the symbols for male and female? And he's like, oh, really? Yeah, I make it, I make it do a terrific job with, my tricks, hand symbols. And he says, this is the iconic symbol for man. It's called the blade, which you see, on military uniforms, which you do, and this is the iconic symbol for women. It is called a chalice, But the blade symbols, aggression and manhood and all that, and female, which the chalice also looks like something we already don't need to talk about. But y'all know if you got them. For those of us that don't, we just love them. Buy us a crap. Anyway. So I like that saying because that is on military symbols, but also you can also say that at one point in time on military uniforms, they were also like this as well. You see them like in the older military times, like Civil War and or whatnot. They did go basically in the chalice symbol form. If you look at them, and you sort of see that with Air Force, their symbols are like that. When their rankings go up, but they just cover theirs up with with the star. That goes back to what Chief talked about with the bishops on the chessboard. I was gonna, Brother Zach, because you just said it, bishops, pyramid, triangles, and what you have the Louvre, you have, the one on the, the pyramid on the top, pyramid on the bottom, you know, yes, Chief, Cuda, Coochie. we guys, Well, but yes, we love the cootie cat. Look, I'm looking up at the scale, looking up at the sky like it is sunshine. I've got a girl. If you throw it in the air, it'll turn into sunshine. Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to your point, brother Zach. You see, the pyramid on top, pyramid on the bottom, blade, chalice, and then the blade at the bottom. Bang. Anyway, so they're still there, and then he goes into Mary Magdalene being in the painting in the Last Supper. Mind you, this is DaVinci, so we already know. Yeah, I wish I did not look like them, but look like. But we ain't gonna talk about that, okay? This is DaVinci. This motherfucker don't know. As exactly, Sister Deirdre, as above, so below. But we already there. So, but he goes into about, that's Mary Magdalene. And, Mary Magdalene is Jesus' wife, and she's like, I thought Mary Magdalene, the prostitute? It was like, she was no such thing, smeared by the church in 591 and no dominant, after the death. But then he goes to read, the Gospel of Philip and then the Gospel of Mary, and I remember I found this in Annie's, and as he reads, he said, and the say, did he indeed what? And did he prefer her better than us? And he said, why, Peter? I find this so. Why are you arguing with a woman if the Savior find her worthy? Who are you to reject her? The relationship key is the root of the whole book and film. So it doesn't take you far from that meaning. Mm-hmm. Also, that Freemason symbol in those pyramids. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna talk about that. Also, when you were talking about that, because there was certain look, they had certain like actual masonry tools, and that's also what I got from it. But I can't remember what scene. But I was like, ain't that a masonry symbol or something? Or a masonry tool? And it got me thinking about Freemasonry. But then he goes on to say, how companion at that time meant spouse, and I thought, some of us today just say we just want a companion. We don't want a wife. We just want a companion. It's the same thing out there. Interested, right? But hey, and so they go on to say, how Mary's supposed to found Jesus' church, not Peter, which goes on to what Chief was saying before all of that, right? And Mary was pregnant and gave birth to a daughter called Sarah. Anyway, and Mary was descended from kings, just like her husband, apparently. And Robert's like, a little girl. If that's true, that's an insult to injury. And so he's like, why? Well, he says, the pagans found transcendence through the joining of male to female, but the church has a monopoly on that in salvation through Jesus Christ. and say, you can find God in sex. He says in paganism, women were worshipped as the route to heaven. You know, which goes back to what Chief was talking about. When he was talking about Last Strong about the Da Vinci Code, he was talking about this part. You know, he mentioned it a little bit, but when he said that, that's where I got that from. It interests me. It already popped up. Da Vinci Code, that scene. He's talking about that scene. So, um, and then he goes on about the Inquisition and how they killed 50,000 women, and then they come up with this book, The Witch's Hammer. And then go on. Jesus' bloodline is in a female child, and Robert basically shows, because Robert Lee's like, y'all have not been honest with me, y'all on the run, and then Robert shows, him the crypt text, but also says, Jacques Chenier is her grandfather, and Lee, I know you keep, list on who could be in the priory, and I bet you he was on that list, and whatnot, and he was at the top. You also have a linkage with Brother Chris's inception breakdown to Mary Magdalene Yahushua is what Ariande is to Dionysus. Sophie Nouveau is the antithesis of the Mary archetype. I felt that way, Chief. I felt that way because I was like, Robert, it's subtle, but it's there, Look at me quoting another movie. God, it's subtle, but it's there. I'm like, why I bet you it's subtle, but it's there, But shows me crypt text, and Lee is fawning over it, right? And he talks to Sophie. He's like, your grandfather give you puzzles to play with. He can keep secrets. Can you remember a thing and never say about it again? And do you know some of the lullabies? And he's like, I know some of them. It's like a single shawl. Right here in my own, but living room. Oh my God, he's fanboying it up, right? But as that's happening, Shiloh shows up, and then he he tried, he's like, man, give me that cripple, you cripple, give me that. He says, and he doesn't talk, which probably says another thing about him. But he shows up trying to start some stuff, but then he's restrained, and then they say, they look at him, look at his body and whatnot, and he say, he's wearing a cilice and whatnot. He's Opus Dei. And he inflicts pain on himself so he can suffer as Christ suffers, Which in some other movies you do see that, you do see that self-flagellation. So people, and people do that to suffer as Christ suffers, but also to repent for their sins. You know what I'm saying? I have seen that in other movies. And so, Faust's head on their heels. He knows that they at Chateau Villette, and he tells the lieutenant, stay there until I come. But as he's seeing all of that, Lieutenant here, Silas' gun go off, and then he breaks down the door, and then basically Robert, Lee, Remy, who's the manservant, the French manservant, and Sophie, they take Silas, and now they on the run. They take the car and they on the run. And then he talked about Opus Dei being a conservative Catholic sect, and And then they go into the Council of Shadows because Lee's like, it's not Opus Dei, it's really a Council of Shadows that, really is running things, just few key figures in certain places, that want to destroy the bloodline. And it's like, what if, the greatest story ever told is a lie, and how would that, shock people's faith and whatnot, which is, interesting in itself. And so they're on a plane, right? And they're trying to, basically the plan is to go to Zurich. But Sophie questions Silas, like, did you kill Jackson? Yeah. Did you kill my grandfather? And Silas just repeats, I am the messenger of God. I am the messenger. But she keeps on smacking him long enough. He's like, each breath you take, is a sin. No shadow will be safe again. For you will be hunted by angels. So you can already tell, the archetype. Basically, Silas is sort of playing as, what I'm talking about, which is cool. I like how he talks, And so, as they're on the plane, Adengorosa is talking to the high bishop, or the archbishop of the Shadow Council, you could say, and he's like, I'll destroy the sarcophagus and the bloodline and the documents and everything. You know what I'm talking about? She did a lecture where a female asked if something like that, if you take away belief, then there would be nothing to believe in. That part made me think of that. Yeah. But at the same time, nothing lasts forever. Chief also said that. I remember him saying that. Nothing lasts forever. But at the same time, it's sort of like, guys die and new ones are reborn. So is faith, are you really taking belief, or are you taking away the belief in one thing and then letting something rise, a new belief be created? You know what I'm talking about? You can see that being experienced in American Gods, in a sense. I didn't watch the TV show, but I read the book. That's because I read the book. I didn't want to watch the TV show because I was like, that show's such a punk. Show's a bitch. I wish a chick would talk to me like that. I don't care if that chick a zombie did. I'll take my coin back and leave. Well, I wish a chick, you do all that. Bitch, what? Give me my coin back. Go back to sleep in the ground or whatever. I'm gonna go holler at Bostet. She going anyway. I'm gonna holler at Bostet and the other chick that live with Chernobog. The boo chick. I'ma stop. Look. I'll be like, F you, chick. I'm going to holler at some goddesses because they obviously feeling the pimp. And you're just dead. I'm just saying. But it got me thinking about that. You know what I'm talking about? When you said that, brother Zach, with that lend itself to the matrix where people can only be woken up after a certain point. The fight will hold on to that old belief. Yeah, because even in psychology, they say that they give an age range, because people hold on to certain things like they say in the Matrix. The mind has a problem with letting go. And if your belief is shocked to its very core, you have a very hard time of letting go of it, because you don't know what you don't know what else to do. If you find out all this stuff is alive, then what can what else can you tell me? And then that goes probably with probably coming down to go up, I guess. If your belief has been shot, well then create a new belief. you know you know it's an ongoing process. Everything that that may be, man, I'm just quoting movies, and I'm not realizing I'm about to say what might be true today may not be true tomorrow. Minds are changing, spirits are changing. Got me calm dang on that. Why everything is changing. I didn't even mean to do that, but hey, I would think that anger would ensue. Mad that all those people told a lie. Yeah, well, I mean, there's going to be anger. I guess that's the first response. But then after that anger, then what? You know what I'm talking about? Then what are you left with? That's another thing you got to think about. Then what are you left with? And then after all of that, what do you pick up from the ashes or whatever? You know what I'm talking about? No, okay, you're angry. That's a formative emotion. Now you got to get out of your emotions. Now you got to actually deal with the reality or whatever. So anyway, so they talk about Mary Magdalene a little bit more, and talk about how Mary lived her life in hiding, and oh, no problem, brother Zach. You cool, bro. You cool. So they find another clue, because Robert's like, it hides beneath the rope. So he pokes basically a little hole from the wooden case, and the flower, the metal flower, with the white rose pops out. Exactly, brother Randy. Accountability. You have to be accountable. You can hold those people accountable, but at some point you gotta move on. Just gotta move on. Can't just stay there. Thus Matrix. But or have you ever seen like the Animatrix and there's this one short movie where you got a sprinter, and he runs and he runs and he runs and he keeps on running, but then you see him actually coming out of it. You know what I'm talking about? And he's coming out of it, out of his pod. You see in the Matrix, but he's coming out of it and then he goes back out. But he's running so fast, that he's basically coming out of the slumber, but then he's pulled back in. It's the animation was very interesting in that retrospect. But they find the seal out of the cryptess, which is the white rose, and they realize that they have to go to London to Temple Church. And so Foch is telling the Lieutenant Collier, I was called by the bishop to arrest Robert, about a certain confession, and he's the murderer. That's why Foch is really head on, like Robert Lang is the murderer. But speaking to your point, brother Zach, you are going to see that sort of belief conflict with Foch, because I'm pretty much telling him before I get there, because he's Opus Dei, but he's not like them. So you see that you see what Chief's talking about, that lie, because he's Opus Dei, but he's called, but he's not in the shadows. You know what I'm talking about? He's really in the sect. You know what I'm talking about? But you're going to see that conflict because he is in a conflict. So they land, because they were supposed to go to Zurich, but then they get this clue, so they go to London. And so they're met by the British police, But before they get there, they hide in the car. But what I like about this, from this point, you see how basically the magic in it, you know, because even Lee says, before it's called scotoma. The eye, the eye see what it wants to see. You know what I'm saying? And they pull this off with the plane. You know what I'm talking about? But you see the magician aspect in basically Lee, if you ask me. He talks like it. He sets up three dang on quests. Three basically three passwords for for Robert to get passed through. So for me, he's like a magician, but he's a scholar. So of course he has that magician in energy in him. The way he is. You know, which we but so they go to Temple Church, and then they realize because they're looking at all the basically the statue tombs for these knights. And then they realize these are not tombs, but effigies. And then you see Silas capturing Sophie, and Remy is betraying, the group, and then they take Lee instead of Sophie. But before, while basically Remy has the gun and is pointing at them, a dove comes, and helps, Sophie and them escape. And Lee is put in the trunk of the car. What I thought that the dove was very interesting. Dove, peace, whatever. And dove is also a symbol of, always been a symbol in Christianity for, Jesus, I guess. And dove is also the symbol, that came back with basically the olive leaf for Noah and all that. But Remy tells Silas, as they riding around, that he's the teacher. But he drops him off at an Opus Dei house, right? Yeah, dove, pigeon, same thing. I guess, same breed of cat if you ask me. But hey, it looked white. That didn't look like no pigeon. I am going on American pigeons. I'm used to them being gray. But pigeon, okay. But anyway, so he drops him off there, and so Remy, we find out he ain't the teacher at all, but he works for the teacher, and he's about to collect his pay from the teacher, and he's drinking with him or whatever, saying they don't expect nothing from. They think I'm it. But then the drink that the liquor that he takes from the flask is poison, and then we find out that Lee is the actual teacher. And so Robert and Sophie, find out, through all this that they're really looking for, because they're looking for a knight and pope in turn, right? They're really looking for Sir Isaac Newton, and so who basically was Grand Master of the Priory, and so they go to another church, and Robert's like, I got him wrong. It's like a funeral, a knight, a pope in turn. We know that it's Sir Isaac Newton, but his funeral was presided over by his friend and colleague Alexander Pope, a pope. Oh, sorry, I wasn't telling you, but asking. Nah, they didn't look like no pigeons to me. They look like white doves, and that's what I got from it. If they were, they were pigeons. They be fluorescent and gray, and why? But yeah, fluorescent. I'm thinking of doves and all, thinking of rap videos. How am I thinking of a Puffy missing video? Anyway, but so they go to where sorry, as Newton is buried, right? And then they see Lee shows up. And then he says, murderers are heroes. Which makes me think of certain figures, that for some they were murderers, but for other people they're heroes. Case in point, Genghis Khan killed a bunch of people, but he's a hero to some people. Or one of mine, since I was a little bitty baby, Shaka Zulu. Oh yes. You killed a bunch of people, but he's a hero. You taught something that still needs to be taught, Never leave an enemy behind, or it will rise again to fly at your throat. Why did he put that movie on for kid? Why did he put that movie on for little kids? I don't know, but but it had an impression on me. I forget Superman. I wanted to be like Shaka Zulu. I wanted to run with no shoes on and stab people with an assegai and sing with my shield, thundering like shields. From your wounds shall spawn the first blood of the king. Shaka Zulu is a good example, but I mean, hey. Or we can, for some people on the Western side, they like Hitler, killed a bunch of people, but hey, it is what it is. And yes, impale him, If you really want to rule in this place, you planned it the way Shaka would have planned it. Well, you think Ufa Simba would go against his own emperor? No. As a man lives, so shall he die. Remember that gun. Remember that. I could go on and on. What happens when the Macassar runs out? But yeah. So Lee threatens them at gunpoint, and Lee saying, he's going to betray Opus Dei. And the house that they take Silas to, it's already been compromised because cops are coming. And then Bishop Aaron Garosa gets there as the cops are getting there. And, Silas sees them and he's trying to make a run for it. And then he's shooting the cops. And then, Aaron Garosa comes up and he says, "Stop, Silas." And then he gets shot by Silas, And as that's happening, Lee wants to show, the mortality of Christ. He's explaining everything and why he's doing what he's doing, right? And you see Silas getting shot, by the police. Then, Aaron Garosa is being taken, Bishop Aaron Garosa is being taken away, and, because he's still alive. And Faust basically talks to him and finds out, he's being used, which, Bishop's like, "Man, take me away. This will be a problem if I'm here and whatnot, and we can't talk about this." And then he tells him, "Your Silas is dead," and whatnot. And so Lee goes on to say how the Priory was supposed to reveal the heir in the year 2000, but they never did. And Lee pleads with Sophie to unlock the secret, but she refuses because she doesn't know. You got no secret to the cryptex, and she don't know. Even though she played with them as a kid, she does not know. And then Robert's like, she doesn't know, she can't do it. But you see, look, this is really a quest, Osar, but it's a real quest, like Indiana Jones. Choose wisely. He chose poorly. you know, you know. The real grail will give you life, but the false grail will take it from you. I can reach it. I can reach it, Dad. Indiana, let it go. You know, it was cool. um, but it's Grail Quest. And then you see, Robert E's like, man, I'll do it. And then you see, like the basically the monument for Sir Isaac Newton, basically is like a hologram. We'll just say it like that. But it's like, basically magic. And he's doing, you looking at, soul system and all of this and whatnot. And he's playing with the cryptex at the same time. And and then the music plays in the background. I like the music that plays in the background, right? And then he's playing with the cryptex and he's like, but it's like real magic, he's really trying to solve this thing, and so, he stops and then he throws, the cryptex in the air, and then Lee goes to catch it and it falls, and then he, throws away the gun. Sophie gets the gun, points it at Lee, you know what I'm saying? And then, Robert tells Lee, only the worthy can find the grail, Lee. And, the police show up, and then, you see Faust, and he says, arrest Lee. No, arrest that man. Arrest the old man. And as, Lee's being taken off, arrested and taken off. And he's like, Robert, how could you do that? How could you do that? He's like, you didn't. You solved it. You solved it. He gets into little kid mode, right? He talks like a little kid. You solved it. Remember, you got a nail. You got a nail, Robert. And all that whatnot. You'll find her. You'll find her. You know what I'm saying? And Robert tries not to give away the secret that he solved it, right? But they take Lee away, and then he says, every orb was on that, statue save for one. The orb that basically got Sir Isaac Newton in trouble with the church. APPLE, apple. Simple. Another thing is, you see also what she talks about, how the wise man only needs a hint. And in this whole movie, you see how with Robert, all he needs is a hint, and he figures it out. This whole movie, he only needs a hint. And then he says, I think the Grail has gone home. And then they go to Rosalind Chapel, which was built by the Templars, right? And then Sophie asks, what joke did Sunya say about you? And he says, he called me a flatfoot, a big cop of history, and then he finds out Sophia is the one who is leading Bob Robert. She is the one guiding him through the labyrinth. Yes, I agree with that one. She's there every step of the way. That's why I say it's subtle, but it's there. It's subtle, but it is there. I'm telling you, it's there. I felt it. I felt it, but it is what it is. And then she says, his father was a cop. But you know what? I've heard that a lot in my time. How historians are like detectives. When it comes to history, we have to be. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to dig. Just like archaeologists, we have to dig. For the truth and certain things, to find out this, to find out that, find out this clue. Oh, and this clue leads to that clue, and all that whatnot. But him being a beat cop and a flatfoot, which I can reference another movie, about another beat cop when he tells a certain so-called tax FBI man, hey, you want to get Capone? He brings a knife, you bring, you bring it back. He brings a knife, you bring a gun. And that's Chicago. You know what a blood oath is? Mr. Ness. Yes, good, because you just made one. Like that movie too. Anyway. Um, so, um, so Sophie finds out as they go through the chapel that she's been there when she was a little girl. And then you see, the 6-pointed star, um, on the staircase, in basically on the crypt to the staircase, to the lower crypt. And well, the 6-pointed star, or they say the Star of David, whatever semantics. But they go into it, and they find out that the sarcophagus for Mary Magdalene was there. And you see that a vase with a rose was there, and but then they go into another corridor, and then they see, all these records that date back to the time of Christ and whatnot. And Robert is looking at these records, and then he other clue would be Silas, whose name was actually Simon before Aaron Garosa renamed him. Simon was the companion of Paul of Tarsus and was freed from prison by an earthquake. Same happened to Silas. But dang, Chief, that's you know what? I ain't too good on my scripture. I never got to the New Testament. I didn't even know Paul Tarsus actually had a companion called Simon. Yeah, you learn something new every day. Ain't that something? I'm gonna have to read that part. I'm gonna have to read that story, really. But yeah. Brother Randy, you cool. It's all right. But one thing that stuck out with me is, Robert asked Sophie why she argued with her grandfather, and and he's like, was it about her parents, death? And she goes in about how she couldn't find anything about their deaths, in the newspapers or anything. And then the next day, she was told to swear not to talk about them and whatnot. And then the next day, she was hauled off to boarding school, and she saw her grandfather doing a ritual, which he was having sex with some chick. He was doing a sex ritual. People were watching. They were in mass, like, dang on eyes wide shut. But we ain't gonna talk about that one. But it was a sex ritual. You know what I'm saying? And you see a little bit of it in the movie when they talk about paganism. And when he's talking about in paganism, they find transcendence to God through the woman and whatnot. Yes, Simon means shaky. Yahweh Shai renamed him to Peter, meaning stone, and said, on this rock I will build my church. Right. Got you, Chief. So, but back to sex ritual. Oh, there's also Simon Magus, who was a sorcerer, drug dealer, who was deceiving the people of Rome with his drugs and misery. Oh, yeah. Huh. I'm have to look that one up. Simon Magus. Okay. And so Robert tells her, well, Sunya wasn't your grandfather, um, because he basically shows her a newspaper clipping, and it says that the entire family was killed in the newspaper, and your last name is not Sunier, it's Saint Clair, from the Merovingian kings, Sangreal, royal blood, so you find out Sophie is the Holy Grail chalice. And Sunya took the secret of the Grail location with him. But anyway, but before that, we find that out. St. Clair, you see that name a lot, in many places, especially in Louisiana. And also with a Harlem known figure in New York, you know, um, Madam Queen, Stephanie St. Clair. you know, that one. That's another St. Clair that we know about. Well, if you're from, NYC and Harlem, Queen, another movie, but also real life figure. And anyway, but the Merovingian kings, which was a real dynasty in France. And when I think of that, I also think of the Matrix, the Merovingian. You get it? Well, yeah. So, but as they're in this crib, a bunch of people showing up, right? And we don't know who these people are. But then as they come out of the crib, these people are gathered around, and then this old woman speaks to Sophie, and she reveals herself as being Sophie's real life grandmother, right? And find out that they had to be apart, and to save her and whatnot, and after that, we realized that these are prior members and whatnot guarding the secret, which is her, and so she tells Robert, that Sunier took the secret of basically the sarcophagus and whatnot, so the location of the sarcophagus with him when he died, because they don't know either, right? And so Sophie and Robert talk, and he says, maybe human is divine, which was very interesting because, Chief has said that and referenced that in so many archives and whatnot, and whatnot. But he tells her, it's your choice to reveal all of this, or not, whatever. But he kisses Sophie on the forehead, first eye and whatnot. And that's why I say it's subtle, but it's there. I don't know why, but it seems like in the extended version, you could really see that they had a relationship. I don't know. Like I say, it's subtle, but it's there. But then Sophie tries to walk on water, and it doesn't happen. But she's like, I'll probably do better with the wine, But it goes back to being on a Grail quest, and she's Princess Sophie, Princess Sophie and whatnot. And, Robert's the knight, knight in shining. Look, he got the princess. We all know that, but it is what it is. But Robert goes, they're back in Paris and whatnot, and he's, in his hotel room, and he's shaving, and then he nicks himself, and he sees the blood, going down the drain, and it clicks in his head, rose line, bloodline, and whatnot, and he walks, and he follows the markers, the brass markers of the rose line, right? And as he does all of that, the poem basically about Mary Magdalene's location is going as he's doing it. Um, don't ask me to quote the poem. You know, you see the art. Because she's supposed to be surrounded by art. you know, um, the blade and chalice that guards the gates. Mm, the Louvre. She finally rests under starry skies. Now in the crypt, you see the same thing, but now it's bam, right? So now you figure it out that she's buried under the Louvre, but basically under the pyramids, which you know, you know, the wise man only needs a hint, but it's something so simple. Yeah, she finally rests under starry skies as well. I was gonna say that, but you see how simple that is, but people will look over it, But the wise man only need a hint. And then he kneels like the night, where she's buried, you know, or whatever, you know. And Newt, nut, huh? Explain, brothers, that I'm confused. But um, I find that very interesting, because the symbols were there. Khmer, Khmer. I'm gonna be honest, Sister Deirdre. Oh, Kemet. You, I'm so used to Newt is the night sky. He is saying, I'm so used to it being noon. Well, I'm so used to being noon. I never say Newt, but yeah, that's why I was like, not Newt. I'm so okay. I get you now. But yes, if you got all the Kemet symbols and she's under them, but we I sort of thought about it like this, but when you say she's under the basically the magic of the magic that those things in place, the 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 Kemet magic talisman is because if the bishop is and the triangle is the magic formation, she's basically under you know three pyramids as above so below blade challenge. I try to make them. Maybe I'm grasping at straws, but I just feel like that was a magic formation right there. Was it significant that the blade was smaller than a chalice? I can't say that Sister Deirdre, because the blade was at the top. The blade was at the top. It was the first one. The chalice was at the bottom. And then there was another blade, a small blade at the shit at the bottom. So this just came to me. Don't quote me. But couldn't that not be a symbol of man, woman, and child? Or man, woman, and son? But I mean, hey, big child, big blade at the top, chalice at the bottom, small blade at the bottom. And it just dawned, man, woman, child. Man, woman, child. just dawned on me. Thank you, Sister Deirdre. I didn't look. That just came to my head when you said that. So thank you. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I could be right there wrong. But that's what I'm thinking of right now, because the blade was already at the top, but there's a small blade at the bottom. Man, woman, child, got it. Yeah, because stone, small blade, right? But those two pyramids are made of glass. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that's just how my mind works. Oh wait, I thought the big blade was in the background. Um, when he was standing over the chalice. I don't think so. I don't think so. But like I said, there's one on top, one, it could be, but still, yet again, to me, it still resonates. It's already there. You know, you still get it. No, that's just how my mind works. You know, but another thing that sells blades, obelisk, which we see a lot of, but I mean, in Kemet, but there's one here, Washington Monument, but whatever. Every man has a chalice and every woman has a blade. It's the internal intercourse that we all have with ourselves when we become complete. Right? Gee, why do I want to say the anima and animus that Freud was talking about? You saying that made me think of that. You know, the blade also represents the pyramid, and it is the representation of death. In some systems. Yeah, why did? Well, we already know that because what was in them, sarcophagus and whatnot. So we already know what they were used for us. Well, maybe not for us, but you know what I mean. For them, we just say for them. Because at first it was steps. What I'm talking about, and then it. So, they came from the, first it was the mastabas and then the steps and, bam, leveled it off, that and whatnot. But Robert Niels, and that's the end of the movie. Like I say, it's a cool movie, what I'm saying? The acting missed me, like I said, the acting missed me, man, but it's a cool movie in the sense, what I'm talking about. And I messed with it for the symbol, and everybody was at that time everybody was on the DaVinci Code. Like they thought it was so cool, and it did wonders for the book sales. Same thing with Game of Thrones and whatnot, and when movies come out about books, sales, book sales soar. People still talk about the Game of Thrones, and come up with these damn theories because it's not done or whatever. But like I say, that's where I got those roses from, the water roses. And not only that, the way that they did the roses looks like the coat of arms for those English houses, well, royal houses pretty much, because Henry and them, the Tudors, they come from the See, I just said that. Henry and them, they come from the red one, and the other ones come from the white. But yeah, but you see it, you know what I'm talking about. So sometimes I was getting thrown off because it's like, why you got a white rose, but y'all keep on using the red one? I'm getting confused. This is actually it's like 5 of them. I think the first was Angels and Demons. I think so too. I know it was a series of them though, because Dan Brown came out with more than one. He came out with more than one because he wanted to make Robert Langdon and his adventures as a series. You know what I'm talking about? Which he pretty much did. Because the next movie is Angels and Demons, and then there's another one. What's that other movie called? I forget. It's Angels and Demons. I think there's something else. I think it was only 3 movies that they came out with, because one had to do with, or maybe that is Angels and Demons. I have to think about it. But yeah, A lot of symbolism in this. A lot of just a lot, man. I mean, a lot. I mean, and it was interesting at the time. Dante's Inferno. It should be called Dante's Inferno. Um, it should be called Dante's Inferno. It should be Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and then Dante's Inferno. I didn't want to say it, but I was like, yeah, because one was about a plague, coming or whatever. And I know I saw it, but I wanted to make sure I got the name right. But it should be Dante's Inferno. Um, there's so many. Which Dante's Inferno is look, it's a cartoon movie, but it's something totally else, but it has to do with the Crusades, and that is a video game in itself, which is also called Dante's Inferno, which deals with the Crusade and this guy with the red cross on his chest. He's a Templar, and goes to hell. And I never played the game, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But this, like I said, man, it was a cool movie, man. I mean, and you get a lot out of it. Like I say, it was literally a grill quest. You know what I'm saying? And you got bishops, and and you see the bishops doing the magic, and you got the magician, the wizard, the keepers. Like they picked the right person for that, because who he ended up playing, goddamn Gandalf. You know what I'm talking about? You shall not pass. He's perfect for that role. Yeah, do those movies. You really got to reread those books. But if you're gonna do a J.R.R. Tolkien storyline, me personally, if it's The Hobbit, I would rather do the cartoon movie. That movie was better. I mean, yes, the real live action was cool. I mean, it had technology and all, but honestly, for some particular, maybe it's the nostalgia aspect of it. When I saw it, you got the songs and and whatnot. And then it was sort of cool in a sense. Is there a correlation to a chess game? I would say, I would say, is there a correlation? Nah. And the only reason why I would say that is because then you have to ask, if there's a correlation to a chess game, then who are the players? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got the protagonist and antagonist. But if it is a chess game, then that would mean basically Robert's the knight. We already know who the bishops are. Sophie's the queen, I guess. But then who's the king? Or you could say the king is actually Yahweh. But I mean, hey, who knows? Another one based on Dan Brown was Inferno. You're speaking of Dante, the animated version. I thought that Dan Brown's book, Robert's the King. Okay, Chief, thank you. I thought that Dan Brown's book was called Dante's Inferno. So thanks for correcting me, Chief. That's why I got Dante's Inferno, but it's actually Inferno. Okay. That's why I because I was like, ain't Dante's Inferno? Because I know it was Inferno something, but it's really Inferno. So my mistake. It's actually Inferno. But yeah, I was thinking of the animated version and the video game and all that, because I was trying to say, oh, yeah, that's been that title's been used so many dang on times. But yeah, Robert's the King. Okay, he seemed like the knight. I don't know. So, but yeah, if Robert's the King, then what the uh the the archbishop is the basically the king on the basically on the other side. But then if it's chess, then is he really checkmated? I mean, did the king did Robert really get the checkmate that he was looking for? Hmm. You know. So yeah. Hmm. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah. But like I said, man, it's cool, man. We about to go in on 2 hours. But this is a 2 hour and 20 something movie, so we making good time. So um uh give thanks as always. Well, give thanks, Sister Deirdre. You know what I'm talking about. Um hey, like I say, happy to do it. It keeps my mind occupied with this and that other stuff. So I'm glad for that. So um next week, Brother Chris is gonna do the movie review. Um and thinking about the labyrinth, King Theseus, the son of I'm used to saying that I guess the king was guided out of the labyrinth by the thread of Ariane. Oh, interesting. I never delved that. I was always into the guys, but I never knew that one, Chief. I really didn't. But that's give thanks for that. That part of mythology. So, but next week, the movie review will be given by Brother Chris, and I'll post out what he's going to do, what he wants to do. I already gave him some ideas, but he came through in a punch. I'll say it like that because somebody else is supposed to do it. So other than that, I'll give that out to everybody promptly. But I give thanks to everybody that came out, and well, yeah, it's always a pleasure. She was the pleasure's mine, brother. That pleasure's mine. I enjoyed doing this. It's fun. I'm just in my own head. Like I said, I get all these correlations. Then you see me spitting out dang on movies that just came out of nowhere. Which is crazy. Why? Why? Like that. Like last Sabbath, Chief had me talk. Had me doing 5 heartbeats. But I enjoy it. But y'all knew it was coming. So I'm like, there you go. He gonna say it. He gonna say it. And I'm happy to do it. It's my own little thing. So, and I know him. I watched them well. A lot. Shoot. Like I say, that the series Shaka Zulu was one of my earliest memories, man. That and other stuff. I'm a boy. What do you expect? Like it, blood up, man. You put it in there with those titties. What do you think is gonna happen? Give thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Yeah. Bayete. Bueno, Wendorf. Love, I love when he go that route in Gossi. But sometimes, if you hear, depending, like when the white boy was like, I speak the whole sign language. When you say it, you gotta click, Hossa, Even I gotta remember that. I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but you gotta, gotta make sure you do it. Gotta have the clicking song, which it's cool, where you get a language like that, where you gotta click, which is cool, I didn't catch in that movie. A lot of didn't. Oh, bruh. And that it's a series, bruh. I mean, there's a lot. A lot. But at the same time, it's Eurosage. You gotta remember that. But like I say, man, when he said some lines, hear me sell it, cool, strong, you got a strong, melanoid man, and us, we showing off our chest, Henry Sully's just ripped, washboard abs, what I'm talking about. He walking like a cave. Dushaka, oh nah. got the song in the background. Got the big shield, like yeah. Besides this man, mother, is there anyone else that's offended you? She looks at Umkabai is looking back with that bead ass look like. And she says, no one. But it's cool though, hey, he ain't gonna take no mess you messing with his mama. You know what I'm talking about. And then you got Dingus Wire the Wanderer, and you see Dingus Wire the Wanderer, and Sweetie, and So I mean, even with that, that Natal, and then for me in Portuguese, Natal means Christmas, but I mean, it is what it is. But but you're in that part, and then you got the crawls, and crawls, chorale. Anyway, and then boy, so much, just them running without sandals. Because I don't, sometimes like, some of us like, being able to walk without no shoes, Chief does it in woods. I wouldn't go that far because, I had a bad memory of a kid messing up his foot. So I can't do that. But he true Zulu. He can go through the woods with no shoes and ain't scared, Bam. And that's interesting because when they excavated Zulus like that, they said, man, their feet were like actually shoe soles that were like that. So I mean, he trained them, man. I mean, our strategy's ludicrous. We go out our way to make our presence known. And so we toss our weapons, hoping that the enemy will throw it back to us. Thank you, boss. Strategy will come later. Let's start with speed. Take off your sandals. Run. But I like it, because it's just about, and then you see cadence. See. They doing cadence, bro. What I'm talking about. And they're all in cadence, and they're running with shields, But you can pretty much teach a military class just based off that scene alone. If you ask me, I mean, hey, if it is, but I mean, it's cool, if the leopard was offered wings to fly, he'd be foolish tonight. Grasp that. No, Shaka, because the leopard's kingdom is in the earth. on the earth, he is the master. It is in the sky, he's the victim. And if the white men offer you wings, it's because they wish to make you their victim. Philosophy right there. But hey, see, there's a lot you could take even from that movie that nobody watches. You know, nobody watches. But it's cool, you know. It made me love the Zulu so dang on much. Oh yeah, this is a whole different break. But you know, I wonder, is Shaka still on Netflix? Because if not, I gotta look for my dang on DVDs. Yeah, I got the Shaka DVDs. Oh, they somewhere in that. They probably in my dang on war chest. Yeah, probably in my war chest. But they easy to do. They easy to do. I mean, and it, and it is gonna be Black History. History, but I have the Betamax. See, you got Betamax. I don't even got that. But I know what you're talking about. But that's still before my time. But I remember my older cousin, she had a Betamax. We didn't, but she had one. You know, interesting system, I guess. But yeah, man. If it's not, I'm sure. Like what? I think I even downloaded that thing on YouTube. But yeah, I made sure if it's still on YouTube. Yeah, if it's still on YouTube, which probably it is because nobody watched it. But I know for a fact I had to, when it was on YouTube, I instantly downloaded that stuff. I was like, you never know when this come back. But if it is, be that as it may. You have the VSS 2G. You know, I got the new V8, the new stuff. I just have to set up two VCRs next to each other, and I can run copies all day. It's lit, bruh. I mean, hey, man. You know, I tell you one thing. I did that I did that, but with records. My teacher, he won my Bible, but my teacher, who was also in my department, he wanted me to. He had these old records, right? A bunch of old vinyl stuff, and he wanted me to, switch them from, basically copy the record from, and put them on CD, because he had one of those copiers, right? And that's what I would do. And it's funny you say that because one gem record that he had that has been going through my mind as all the situations that's going on right now is going on is Dick Gregory at Kent State. That's what, look, everything's going down right now. That record is playing in my mind because I had to play it so many times because I had to put them in tracks, right? And then I had to write, which track which and whatnot. So I had to put them in tracks. And that record is so cool because nobody knows about it. You had to be old and you're probably dead by now if you know what Dick Gregory, Kent State, Ohio, But if you ever get to listen to it or listen to part of it, man, it's when I first heard it for the first time, I was like, wow. Because basically it's after, that tragedy, the tragedy that happened in Kent State, Ohio with them, with them kids and whatnot. And Dick Gregory was there and it was a commencement speech, sort of. And, it was recorded. And he had this, right? And man, Dick Gregory is just spitting some gems, right? For the time. And he was a young guy at the time, but he spent some gems. And what's happening now, I'm like, that stuff is just playing in my head the whole dang on time. Shut up, white boy. The Don't you know we own the Irish police? You know, repression is more detrimental to the oppressor than it is to the oppressed. You know, that's a little bit of the record right there. You know, that's in my head. You know, you know. So yeah, you know, white boy and white daddy. But hey, you get that? You hey. But yeah, man. But like you say, yo, you get two VCRs together, you know, shoot. Man, if I could find my dang on VHS tapes, because I got some old movies on them, bro. Like, that's all I would do. Like, when AMC was just nonstop and they had no commercials, man, I would get these old movies, right? Because I didn't have Turner Classic Movies. So AMC was my Turner Classic Movies, and I would just get these movies because they was gonna play them nonstop anyway with no commercials. Man, I'll take them like it was nothing. I had some doozies, man. That's how I got Patton. That's how I got Gone with the Wind. That's how I got bang. When they played God with the Wind, I was like, I'm taping that. Get the 8-hour too. I was mad. Get the 8-hour group too for like $20. Man, you know I'm young, but I know how to use a VCR. But I get them 8 hours. You know, get that SPLP. I'm getting that SLP. You know what I'm talking about? And look, I'm using all 8 hours. It'd be like 3 movies on there. Unless, you know, movies at that time were literally 3 hours. So, you know, I'm trying to take Lawrence of Arabia and then put, okay, that's going to be 3 hours. Okay, how much, you know, you got to really use that. Okay, I got like 4 hours left. So what can I tape after this? I'm going to put, you know, after Lawrence of Arabia, right? I'm gonna put that movie. What's that? The Magnificent Seven. Bet I got, you know, I'll put that movie over there. You know, you take videos at the end. Yeah. See, you know. Okay, I did put. Okay, yes, I did tape BET After Dark. I won't lie. You know, I do got. Look, I did have the tip drill video on tape, but then again, it's fucked up when you date one of the girl's cousins that was in the video. And the girl, oh man, when I found that out, when I found I was dating that, look, and she told me what the girl I was dating with, she was at that time, and she told me, oh yeah, my cousin was in that, and the girl, she said on the video, because she that was my crush. I was long. Yeah, this is going left. Let me shut up. But you said BET After Dark. I was just following your lead. But scratch that from the record. Look, I'm about to go. We've been here too long. And as you can see, it's After Dark right now. And that's way left. Thanks for pulling me back. Yeah, time to wind this down. In the clinic. I ain't never in no clinic. Way left. Foul ball. But that's funny though, Chief. Anyway, it seems like it's just us anyway. But thanks everybody for coming out. Hey, that's sometimes how we are after dark. But anyway, that's all time we have for today. So join us next time. Peace, everybody. And I'll see y'all again. Peace.